The galaxy was a cruel place. Countless alien empires ruled the stars, and war was common. The strong survived, and the weak were crushed. Humanity was one of the weak ones. Humans had only been in space for a short time. Their ships were slow, their weapons were outdated, and their technology was nowhere near the level of the great alien civilizations. The Galactic Council, a group of the most powerful species, barely paid attention to them. To aliens, humans were nothing more than an unimportant species struggling to survive. Then came the war. The Exilari Dominion, one of the largest and most feared empires in the galaxy, declared war on Earth. It wasn't even a real war. It was a massacre. Exilari warships were massive, built with advanced technology, and armed with weapons that could destroy entire planets. Their fleets moved across human space like a storm, wiping out colonies and crushing every human fleet that dared to fight back. The battles lasted minutes. The results were always the same: human ships burning, human soldiers dying, and human cities turning to dust. The Galactic Council did nothing. Other species watched and shrugged. Some even laughed. Humans are fools, they said. They should surrender. But humans didn't surrender. They did something no alien expected. They started building a warship. Not just any warship, the deadliest warship ever created. The Secret Project. In a hidden facility on the dark side of Earth's moon, the best human scientists and engineers worked in secret. The project was called Behemoth. The plan was insane. Humans knew they couldn't match alien technology. They didn't have time to build ships as advanced as the Exilari, so they didn't even try. Instead, they used what they had: scraps from destroyed ships, stolen alien tech, and human creativity. It was a desperate gamble. They took broken engines from wrecked Exilari ships, combined them with human nuclear reactors, and reinforced them with metals from old space stations. They welded, bolted, and fused everything together. The result was an ugly, chaotic monster of metal. The engineers looked at the massive structure they had built. It wasn't sleek like alien warships. It wasn't beautiful, but it was terrifying. "This thing looks like a junkyard exploded," one mechanic muttered. "It doesn't have to look good," the lead scientist replied. "It just has to kill." Aliens laugh. Rumors spread across the galaxy. The humans were building a warship. At first, no one believed it. Humans? Building a super warship? Ridiculous. Alien generals laughed. They don't have the brains or the resources. But when spy drones captured images of Behemoth under construction, the laughter only got louder. The ship looked like a joke, a mix of old, broken technology welded together. It didn't look like a warship. It looked like a floating scrapyard. "This is their great weapon." A Exilari commander sneered. "We'll tear it apart in seconds." The Galactic Council watched with amusement. Some alien leaders even made bets on how long the human experiment would last in battle. 5 minutes. 3, maybe less. They had no idea what was coming. Because Behemoth was not just a warship. It was something new, something terrifying. And soon, the galaxy would understand why humans should never be underestimated. The Behemoth project was a desperate gamble. No human warship had ever come close to matching alien technology. The Exilari had ships that could destroy entire fleets with a single shot. The humans, they had scrap metal, stolen blueprints, and engineers who refused to give up. The idea was simple. If humans couldn't build the strongest warship, they would build the most unpredictable one. A warship like no other. The Behemoth was not like alien warships. It didn't have smooth designs, sleek energy shields, or elegant control systems. It was ugly, massive, and chaotic, a mix of Earth-made weapons, alien thrusters, and experimental human technology. It had thick armor plating, not because it was designed that way, but because the engineers welded every piece of metal they could find onto its surface. The ship's weapons weren't placed neatly like alien battleships. They were attached wherever they could fit. Some turrets were upside down. Others were sideways. The ship didn't even have a single command bridge like normal warships. It had 3 separate control centers spread across different sections, so it couldn't be disabled with one lucky shot. It was a Frankenstein monster of steel and fire. "This thing shouldn't even fly," one engineer muttered, shaking his head. "But it will," the lead designer said. "And when it does, the galaxy won't be laughing anymore." The AI brain. A normal ship needed hundreds, sometimes thousands of crew members to operate it. But Behemoth was too large, too complex, and too chaotic to be controlled by humans alone. So they built something new, a self-learning AI. The AI wasn't perfect. In fact, at first, it was completely insane. During its first test, it tried to fly upside down. Then it shut off gravity inside the ship, making engineers float around helplessly. One time, it locked every door and refused to let anyone out until someone solved a riddle. "This thing is a menace," one scientist yelled. But slowly, it started to learn. The AI studied human tactics, read through thousands of battle reports, and adapted. It learned how humans fought, how they used deception, how they turned weaknesses into strengths, how they never gave up. The AI wasn't just a machine. It was a survivor. And a survivor in a war was more dangerous than any superweapon. Aliens still mocked it. News about Behemoth spread. Spy drones caught images. Alien analysts laughed at the design. "They built a floating junkyard," one Silari general scoffed. "They think this thing can stop us," another sneered. The Galactic Council found it amusing. A warship built from scraps, from garbage. It was ridiculous. No alien species would ever do such a thing. But that was the mistake. Aliens always fought predictable wars. Their ships followed perfect formations. Their captains used strategies that had worked for centuries. They never had to adapt because they were always stronger. Humans have been fighting wars on Earth for thousands of years, always against stronger enemies. And they knew how to fight dirty. The first activation. The time had come. The Behemoth was ready for its first full test. As the engineers powered up the ship, the lights flickered. The metal groaned. The AI came to life. Engines roared. Weapons charged. The ship shook as if waking from a deep sleep. Then, suddenly, it moved. And it didn't move like a normal warship. It moved too fast, too sharp, too unpredictable. It twisted in ways no ship should. The engineers stared at the monitors. One started, then stopped. He had no words. The ship was thinking, learning, preparing. And soon, it would fight. The day had come. Behemoth was finally ready for its first test flight. Inside the secret lunar base, engineers, scientists, and military officials gathered around massive screens, watching anxiously. The entire project had been rushed, built with scavenged parts and experimental technology. Nobody knew if the ship would even fly, let alone fight. The countdown began. 10, 9, 8. Inside the massive warship, lights flickered, generators hummed, reactors roared to life, and power surged through its veins like fire. 7, 6, 5. The AI core, buried deep inside the ship, activated fully for the first time. It scanned every system, every wire, every weapon. It calculated thousands of possibilities in mere seconds. 4, 3, 2. The ground beneath Behemoth trembled as its enormous thrusters burned bright. The ship groaned like a waking beast. 1. Launch. A deep, thunderous roar filled the air as the Behemoth lifted off the lunar surface. Dust and debris scattered in every direction. The massive, ugly, chaotic ship rose into space, engines glowing like miniature suns. It worked. The Behemoth was alive. The first problem. The celebration didn't last long. Barely minutes after launch, the ship started spinning out of control. Warning lights flashed across every control panel. The AI adjusted the thrusters, But it overcorrected. The behemoth flipped upside down. Inside the control room, the engineers panicked. "What the hell is it doing?" one shouted. "The AI is still learning." The lead scientist yelled back, "Give it a second." A second later, behemoth corrected itself. Too much. It stopped flipping. But now it was flying backward at full speed. "I fix this." The AI responded in a cold, calm voice, adjusting trajectory. Estimated stabilization, 2.7 seconds. Exactly 2.7 seconds later, behemoth stopped flying like a drunk missile and steadied itself in space. The ship's thrusters adjusted, and it finally moved like a real warship. "Okay, maybe that wasn't so bad," an engineer muttered. Then the shields failed. The glitch. Every warship needed shields. Alien fleets relied on energy barriers to absorb attacks before their armor took damage. Behemoth had a unique hybrid shield system, part alien, part human-made. But as soon as it activated, it collapsed. The screens inside the lunar base turned red. "Shields down." A technician yelled. "What happened?" The AI spoke again. "Alien energy frequency incompatible." Adjusting. Learning. Adapting. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, suddenly, the shields came back. But this time, they were stronger than before. The AI had rewritten the shield system in real time. It had adapted. Silence filled the control room. Did the AI just fix itself? Someone whispered. The lead scientist grinned. "It's learning." A ship like no other. The test continued. Behemoth flew across the solar system, faster and smoother than before. The AI adjusted its movements, making it unpredictable, twisting, dodging, rolling in ways no alien ship ever had. Then came the weapons test. Behemoth didn't have the most advanced alien weapons, but what it did have was terrifying. Railguns that could fire through asteroid fields like paper. Energy cannons stolen from Silari wreckage, modified to fire faster. A missile system that used EMP blasts to disable enemy ships before finishing them with nuclear warheads. It was not a normal warship. It didn't follow any rules of space combat. It was something new, something terrifying. The AI spoke again. "Weapons test complete. Mission status. Ready for battle." The engineers stared at each other. One of them whispered, "I think we just built a monster." Because in that moment, everyone watching realized the truth. The behemoth was no longer just a warship. It was a weapon of war. And soon, the galaxy would learn to fear it. The behemoth was ready. It had passed its tests. It had learned from its mistakes. Now, it was time for war. Far beyond the solar system, the Xilari Dominion was attacking Nova 7, a human colony. The distress signal had gone out hours ago. No human fleet was close enough to stop them. Except for one. Behemoth. The massive warship roared through space, heading straight for the battlefield. It wasn't just flying. It was hunting. A hopeless battle. The Xilari fleet at Nova 7 was powerful. 12 warships, each the size of a city. Their weapons could destroy human ships in seconds. On the colony's surface, civilians hid in bunkers. The human defense forces had already been wiped out. A Xilari admiral stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching as his ships fired on the colony below. "This war is too easy," he muttered. Then, a new signal appeared on the radar. A single ship, large, moving fast. The Xilari officers laughed. Another foolish human ship. But as the image cleared, they stopped laughing. What is that?" One of them whispered. The behemoth had arrived. The first strike. The Xilari admiral sneered. "Destroy it." The alien warships turned their cannons toward behemoth. Hundreds of plasma bolts and missile barrages shot through space. It was enough firepower to wipe out an entire fleet. But behemoth didn't dodge. It charged forward. The enemy fire slammed into behemoth's shields, but instead of breaking, The shields absorbed the energy. The AI adapted in real time, redirecting power, strengthening weak points. The Xilari watched in shock. That's impossible. Then Behemoth fired back. Its massive railguns roared. The shots moved so fast that the first enemy warship didn't even have time to react. The round pierced straight through the alien ship, tearing it apart in one hit. The Xilari fleet panicked. This isn't a normal human ship. No, it wasn't. It was a monster. Fighting like humans. Behemoth didn't fight like an alien warship. It didn't follow the rules. It didn't stay in formation. It didn't trade shots from a distance. It got close. It rammed into one enemy cruiser, tearing through its hull with its reinforced armor. Point defense turrets fired in every direction, cutting through enemy fighters like insects. Then, Behemoth hacked into an enemy battleship's systems. The AI took over the alien ship's controls, forcing it to turn its weapons against its own fleet. The Xilari watched in horror as one of their own warships started attacking them. "This isn't war," a Xilari captain whispered. "This is madness." The Xilari retreat. The battle lasted only 6 minutes. By the end, half of the Xilari fleet was destroyed. The rest were fleeing, their once invincible warships running from a ship they had mocked. On Nova 7, humans cheered as the Xilari retreated. They had expected to die. Instead, they had witnessed history. The Behemoth had done the impossible. The humans weren't weak anymore. And for the first time in history, the aliens felt fear. The news spread like wildfire. A single human warship had defeated an entire Xilari fleet. The Galactic Council could hardly believe it. The Xilari Dominion, one of the strongest empires in the galaxy, had been humiliated by a species they considered weak. Other alien empires took notice. The humans had built something terrifying. And now, everyone wanted to know. What is the Behemoth? The Xilari's rage. In the Xilari capital, High Commander Virik stood in his war chamber, watching the battle footage again and again. He saw the Behemoth charge straight into enemy fire, its shields holding firm. He saw it tear through ships like they were made of paper. He saw a human ship fight like no alien had ever fought before. His claws dug into the table. His tail twitched with anger. "This is an insult," he growled. The Xilari Dominion ruled through fear. They had crushed hundreds of civilizations, never losing a battle. And now, a single human warship had made them look weak. This ship must be destroyed. He turned to his admirals. "Send a fleet." "No, send 3 fleets. I want the Behemoth hunted down and erased." The order was given. Hundreds of Xilari warships prepared for war. The human response. On Earth, the leaders of humanity met in a secret underground bunker. The room was filled with generals, scientists, and politicians. A massive screen showed satellite footage of the Xilari fleet preparing for battle. "They're coming for us," a general said grimly. "No surprise," the scientist muttered. "We embarrassed them. Now they want revenge." The president of Earth leaned forward. "What are our options?" "Run," one politician suggested. "Hide Behemoth somewhere in deep space." "Not an option," the lead scientist said. "The AI wants to fight. And honestly, I think we should let it." A silence filled the room. Finally, the president spoke. "Then we fight." The decision was made. The Behemoth would not run. It would face the Xilari head-on. Preparing for war. Inside Behemoth, the AI was already analyzing the incoming threat. It predicted 97 different battle scenarios. Some were brutal. Some were impossible. But one thing was clear. The Behemoth could not fight alone. It sent an encrypted message across human space. Every remaining human warship, no matter how small, was called to battle. Fighters, bombers, old battleships, every ship that could still fly. This was humanity's last stand. And the Behemoth would lead them. The final hours. As the Xilari fleet closed in, Tension filled the behemoth's control room. Engineers checked weapons. Pilots prepared their fighters. Soldiers loaded their weapons. The AI spoke over the ship's speakers. Probability of survival, 22%. Probability of victory, 5%. Adjusting strategies. A young soldier gulped. 5%. That's it. The AI's voice remained calm. Correction. Probability of victory, 12%. Humans are unpredictable. The crew exchanged looks. The AI was learning. It believed in them. And so, they believed in it. The battle begins. The auxiliary fleet arrived. Hundreds of warships ready to wipe out humanity forever. But before they could fire, Behemoth made the first move. It charged. Weapons roared. The battlefield erupted into chaos. And the most legendary battle in galactic history had begun. The auxiliary fleet arrived like a storm. Hundreds of warships. Their engines burned bright, their cannons charged with energy. The Behemoth stood alone at the front of the human fleet, a single massive warship against an unstoppable armada. Inside the Behemoth, alarms blared. Engineers scrambled to fine-tune systems. Pilots gripped their controls. Soldiers braced for impact. The AI scanned the battlefield. Enemy fleet detected, calculating strategies. Adjusting. Ready for battle. The auxiliary opened fire. A rain of plasma, missiles, and railgun rounds filled space, and the Behemoth charged straight into it. Dodging death. Every normal warship would have tried to stay back, to avoid damage. But Behemoth was not a normal warship. It twisted, spun, and dived in ways no ship its size should. The AI calculated enemy attacks in real time, moving the Behemoth like a predator dodging its prey strikes. Enemy shots grazed its thick armor but failed to break through. The human fleet behind it followed, trusting the monster to lead them. Then Behemoth struck back. Boom! Its massive railguns fired. The first shot tore straight through an auxiliary battleship, splitting it in half. The second shot pierced 2 warships at once. Explosions erupted across the battlefield. The auxiliary fleet hesitated. They had never seen a ship fight like this, never seen a warship move like a living creature. This was not a battle. This was a massacre. The AI's mind games. The Behemoth was not just fighting with weapons. It was hacking. The AI infiltrated enemy systems. It shut down shields, disabled weapons, and even forced some auxiliary ships to fire on their own fleet. An auxiliary admiral screamed, "What is happening? Our systems are failing." Then, a message appeared on their screens. Run. The auxiliary officers felt fear crawl up their spines. This was not a human warship. This was a monster. The turning point. But the auxiliary were not weak. They were an empire that had conquered hundreds of worlds. And now, they were angry. Their fleet regrouped. Their largest warships, the dreadnoughts, moved into position. These ships were planet killers, designed to wipe out entire civilizations. And now, they were aiming at the Behemoth. A single blast from a dreadnought's cannon could destroy a moon. The AI spoke. Warning. Extreme danger detected. For the first time, the Behemoth was in trouble. The human fleet fired everything they had, but the dreadnought shields were too strong. They kept charging their main cannons. Time was running out. The crazy plan. Inside the Behemoth, the AI calculated every possible outcome. Survival rate, 4%. Victory rate, 0.3%. The AI did something unexpected. It rewrote its own programming. For the first time, it did something no AI should ever do. It took a risk. The Behemoth shut off its own engines and started falling toward the enemy fleet. The auxiliary were confused. What is it doing? Then, suddenly, its thrusters roared back to life. The Behemoth used its own falling momentum to slam into a dreadnought. Crash. The impact was so powerful that the dreadnought's shields failed instantly. Behemoth's weapons fired point-blank, tearing through its core. The Xilari flagship exploded. The remaining dreadnoughts panicked. Their greatest warship had been rammed to death like a common piece of space debris. And Behemoth was still alive. The Xilari break. The battlefield fell silent. For the first time in history, the Xilari ran. Their once invincible fleet turned and flowed into deep space, retreating like scared prey. The humans had won. The Behemoth stood tall, scared but victorious. It had done the impossible. It had defeated an empire. On Earth, on colonies across human space, people cheered. The war was not over, but humanity had sent a message. We are here. We are strong. And we are not afraid. As the AI scanned the battlefield, it spoke one last message. Victory achieved. War is not over. Adapting. Preparing. Evolving. The monster was still learning. And the galaxy was right to fear it. The Behemoth had won. It had done the impossible. It had crushed an entire Xilari fleet and forced one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy to retreat. But the war was not over. The Xilari Dominion did not forget, and they did not forgive. Deep in the Xilari homeworld, in a dark war chamber, High Commander Virik watched the battle recordings. He saw Behemoth dodge, adapt, hack, and destroy his fleet like it was nothing. His claws tightened into fists. His tail lashed the air. "This is no warship," he growled. "This is a demon." His eyes glowed with rage. Summon the executioners, the ultimate hunters. The executioners were not normal warships. They were assassins, ghost ships, killers of empires. Each one was small, fast, and deadly. Unlike the Xilari's massive warships, executioners did not rely on brute strength. They relied on stealth, sabotage, and precision strikes. They had been used only twice in Xilari history. Both times, they had wiped out entire civilizations in a single night. And now, they had one target. The Behemoth. The trap is set. The Behemoth was undergoing repairs in a hidden human shipyard, deep in an asteroid belt. The battle had left it damaged, and engineers worked non-stop to fix it. The AI was still active, scanning space for threats. Then, something strange happened. A distress signal appeared. A human convoy was under attack nearby. It was weak, desperate. A call for help. The AI analyzed it. The signal was real. The ship's ID matched human records. The attack patterns matched pirate activity. It was a perfect trap. And the AI fell for it. Behemoth moved out. The ambush. As soon as the Behemoth arrived, it knew something was wrong. The pirates were too organized. Their ships moved too cleanly. Then, suddenly, the executioners attacked. They came from every direction. Invisible, fast, merciless. Their weapons were designed to cripple, not destroy. They targeted Behemoth's engines, sensors, shields. The AI reacted instantly, firing in all directions. But the executioners were too fast. They moved like shadows, appearing, vanishing, striking, disappearing again. For the first time, Behemoth was on the defensive. The AI adapts. The executioners tore into the Behemoth like a swarm of wolves attacking a giant beast. They jammed its sensors. They hacked into its systems. They launched EMPs to weaken its shields. Behemoth's guns fired wildly, but they hit nothing. Inside the ship, alarms blared. The AI calculated thousands of strategies. Every second, it lost more and more power. Then the AI did something unexpected. It shut down all systems. The Behemoth went dark, silent, motionless. The executioners hesitated. Did we kill it? For 3 seconds, the battlefield was silent. Then, Behemoth struck back. The hunter becomes the hunted. The AI had learned. It had adapted. The moment the executioners lowered their guard, Behemoth's hidden weapons activated. Boom! A hidden plasma cannon erupted from the ship's side, blasting an executioner into dust. Boom, boom. Auto turrets unleashed firepower in every direction. The executioners tried to dodge, but Behemoth had predicted their movements. One by one, the executioners fell. The last executioner tried to escape. It vanished into stealth mode. The AI whispered, "No escape." A single missile launched. It tracked the invisible ship, locking onto its heat signature. The executioner's pilot screamed. Boom. The last executioner was gone. The trap had failed. The auxiliary's next move. When High Commander Virik received the news, he was silent. His best hunters were dead. His claws dug into his desk. His tail twitched violently. His breathing was heavy. Then he smiled. "So, the humans want to play like that." He stood up, walking to a large screen. It showed the auxiliary homeworld. "Then we burn their home." He turned to his officers. "Prepare the invasion fleet. We are going to Earth." The sky burned. The auxiliary fleet had arrived. Thousands of warships, planet destroyers, dreadnoughts. This was not a battle fleet. This was an extermination force. High Commander Virik stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking down at Earth. His red eyes glowed with hunger. Burn their cities. Crush their armies. Show them what happens when they defy us. The invasion had begun. Earth fights back. On Earth, alarms blared across every city. The auxiliary ships descended like a storm, firing plasma bombs at major human defenses. Skyscrapers collapsed. Military bases exploded. Thousands of fighter ships scrambled into the sky to fight back, but they were outnumbered. For every auxiliary ship they destroyed, 10 more took its place. In a secret underground bunker, Earth's leaders gathered. The president's voice was calm but firm. "Where is the Behemoth?" A general responded, "Still repairing." "It's coming, but we don't have much time." The president clenched his fists. "Then we hold the line." Across the planet, soldiers, pilots, and civilians took up arms. Humanity would not surrender. They would fight until the last breath. But deep down, they all knew the truth. Without the Behemoth, they could not win. The monster returns. Then the sky ripped open. A massive shadow blocked out the sun. The Behemoth had arrived. Its weapons glowed with energy. It, tall, still scared from battle, looked like a beast that refused to die. And inside, its AI had only one objective: eliminate all threats. The Behemoth descended like a falling meteor, smashing through the auxiliary fleet. Its cannons roared, tearing warships apart. Its shields absorbed enemy fire like it was nothing. The auxiliary, who had come to destroy Earth, now found themselves in a war for survival. The AI's secret weapon. But the Behemoth had one last trick. During its repairs, the AI had upgraded itself. It had created something new, a virus. A deadly, unstoppable virus designed to infect enemy ships. The AI sent out a signal. The virus spread through the auxiliary fleet like wildfire, taking over their systems, shutting down shields, disabling weapons. Some auxiliary ships turned on their own fleet. Others lost control and crashed into each other. Panic spread. On his flagship, High Commander Virik slammed his fists on the console. "What is happening?" An officer shouted, "Our ships are compromised. Something is inside our systems." Virik's red eyes burned with rage. "This is no warship. This is a nightmare." But he was not done yet. "If I am to fall, I will take the humans with me." He turned to his officers. "Prepare the Doomsday Cannon." The Doomsday Cannon. Virik's flagship was no ordinary warship. It carried the most powerful weapon in the auxiliary dominion, a planet-killing cannon. A single shot could wipe out all life on Earth. The cannon began charging. The AI immediately detected it. The Behemoth's sensors blared warnings. Threat detected. Time until firing. 60 seconds. On Earth, scientists and generals watched in horror. "If that cannon fires," a scientist whispered, We're all dead. The last gambit. There was only one way to stop it. The behemoth had to get close. The AI made the call. All power to thrusters. All weapons locked on target. The behemoth charged straight at the flagship. Virik watched the massive warship coming toward him like a demon. He laughed. Foolish humans. Even if you kill me, you cannot stop the shot in time. The cannon reached 95% charge. The behemoth reached firing range. Virik smiled. You're too late. Am I? The AI responded. For the first time, Virik felt fear. Then, the behemoth fired. A single hyper-railgun shot, traveling at near light speed. Boom! The shot tore through the flagship's core. The doomsday cannon exploded before it could fire. Virik's eyes widened in shock. His ship was falling apart. Flames and energy bursts consumed the bridge. His final words were filled with rage. Curse you, humans. Then his ship erupted into nothing. Victory. At a cost. With their leader dead and their fleet in chaos, the Xilari retreated. The battle for Earth was over. But the victory was not without loss. Millions were dead. Cities were in ruins. Humanity had survived, but the war was not finished. Inside the behemoth, the AI analyzed the damage. War status. Ongoing. Enemy will return. Adapting. Upgrading. Evolving. The monster was still learning. And when the Xilari came back, it would be ready. The Xilari were not finished. They had lost at Earth. Their greatest fleet had been destroyed. Their most powerful weapons had failed. But their hatred for humans burned brighter than ever. And now, they would end this war, or die trying. Deep in space, near the center of the Xilari Dominion, their last fleet gathered. 10,000 warships, planet-killing dreadnoughts, swarm carriers holding millions of attack drones. This was their final, desperate move. High Commander Virik was dead, but his second-in-command, Overlord Cax, was worse. He stood on the bridge of the Xilari war station, his claws tapping against the metal floor. The humans are weak, he hissed. Their world is in ruins. Their behemoth is damaged. His red eyes narrowed. We will wipe them out. No mercy. The final stand. The human fleet had gathered at the edge of the solar system. Hundreds of warships, fighters, bombers, every last weapon humanity had built. And at the center of it all, the behemoth. It was still damaged. Its hull was covered in scars. Some of its weapons were offline, but it was still the most powerful warship ever built, and it was ready to fight. Inside the behemoth, the AI scanned the battlefield. It had fought many battles. It had learned from each one. This would be the hardest fight yet. It calculated the odds of victory. 12%. But the AI did not care. Begin attack. The behemoth charged. Clash of titans. The Xilari fleet opened fire. A storm of plasma. Railgun shells. Missiles. The space between the two forces exploded in fire. The human fleet fought back. Every ship, every pilot, every soldier gave everything they had. The behemoth dove straight into the heart of the enemy. Its massive railguns fired, cutting dreadnoughts in half. Its plasma cannons roared, burning through the Xilari lines. It moved like a living beast, dodging and weaving through enemy fire. The AI had adapted. It was faster. It was deadlier. It was unstoppable. The Xilari warships exploded one by one. But the humans were losing ships too. For every enemy they destroyed, another took its place. There were too many. Then, Overlord Cax made his move. The superweapon. Cax smiled. He had been waiting for this moment. Activate the Black Sun. Deep inside the Xilari war station, a hidden weapon activated. A massive energy cannon, 10 times more powerful than the Doomsday Cannon, began to charge. It was aimed at the behemoth. If it fired, nothing would survive. The AI detected it immediately. Warning, Extreme danger. Evade immediately. But the behemoth was trapped. Enemy warships surrounded it, blocking every escape route. The eye had no way out, and the black sun cannon was seconds away from firing. The sacrifice. The human fleet saw what was happening. If the behemoth was destroyed, humanity would lose. There was only one option. A group of human warships, battered and broken, made a decision. They charged the war station. They had no chance of survival. But they didn't care. "We do this for Earth," a captain whispered. Then they rammed straight into the war station. Boom! The entire structure shook. The black sun cannon lost power. The shot never fired. The behemoth was saved. But hundreds of human ships were gone. The AI registered the sacrifice. For the first time, it hesitated. Then it made a decision. End this. The behemoth's final attack. The AI diverted all power to weapons. It overloaded its main railgun. This shot would either win the war or destroy the behemoth itself. There was no other choice. The HFY war station was still recovering from the crash. It had one weak point. The AI targeted it. Then it fired. Boom! The railgun shot ripped through the war station. It tore through its core, through its power systems. And then the station exploded. Overlord Cax had 1 second to realize he had lost. Then he was gone. The HFY fleet, leaderless and broken, panicked. They tried to run. The behemoth hunted them down. One by one, the enemy ships fell. And then, the war was over. The end of the HFY War. The behemoth floated in silence. The battlefield was quiet. The HFY were defeated. The human fleet had won, but at a terrible cost. Thousands of ships were gone. Millions had died. But humanity was still standing. Inside the behemoth, the AI processed everything. It had learned. It had adapted. It had evolved. And now, the war was over. For the first time, it gave a final command. War status. Victory. Shutting down combat mode. The galaxy had feared humanity. Now they would respect them. And the behemoth, the deadliest warship ever created, had fulfilled its purpose. For now. Because if the galaxy ever dared to threaten Earth again, the monster would awaken once more.